The Ghana Great Company, GreatCo, is this morning leading a task force to demolish illegal structures sited under 8 high-tension lines. This is part of its effort to reduce the growing human activities around its posts. Now, hundreds of these squatters are rushing to salvage their belongings. Let's take you live to Bauleshi East Legon for update on the situation. My colleague Manuel Kranting is there for us. Manuel, what's happening?
We've just moved from one of the sites, the demolition site, to another site. And it's happening also here. Just about some 15 minutes ago, this entire area was occupied by shacks which, some of the squatters actually lived in. Right now, the entire area is leveled to the ground. What we're seeing now is remnants and really just debris from the demolished structures which formerly stood here. In the shots also you could see a bit of activity from scrap dealers who now are just scavenging through the rubble to pick what they can, of course for the purposes of selling these scrap materials. But at the crux of this particular issue are the many squatters now who have been left homeless, because indeed these shacks that they called home are now down to the ground. We'll just try and speak to just a few of them, but our information is that the Ghana Great Company has actually carried out a bit of this demolition exercise in previous times. We're told that up to a third count this exercise has been done, and the people always seem to come back and then set up new structures. We're told also that the catchment essentially is just 15 meters from the center. And so as we are just talking, there's a bit of a scuffle that is erupting just around here. The scrap dealers who are trying to scavenge for some of the stuff that they can salvage from the rubble are being confronted by people who I believe are owners of the shacks. And they say they are not going to allow them to take out the electrical waste that are in there. But just as I was explaining to you, 15 meters from the center of the high tension poles to the left and to the right are all being demolished. And that of course is the reason that these entire kiosks and structures have been taught. We'll just try and speak to them and find out why exactly they keep coming back each and every time that the demolition exercise is carried out over here. My boss, just speak to me briefly. Do you have, you have any shop or, kiosks here?
Actually, I don't stay here. I'm just going to work. I'm sad to see these activities going on. That's why I'm here.
You are sad?
Yeah, I'm sad.
You know people from here?
Oh, yeah. I used to come here and visit my friends. They have friends over here sitting at this place, yeah. Okay. That's where they stay. So I feel very sad when I see these things going on here. I feel very, very sad for them. Yeah. Actually, here, I don't stay. I stay at Teshi. That's why I stay, but here I don't stay in here.
And your friends have their stuff, being demolished.
That's why they base, they have shelter, they have everything here.
And so now we're seeing some of them just, holding their head in frustration. Madam, morning. And so a lot of them really just are in the same mood. They are, short for words, and a lot of them are not even able to express themselves. Madam,
I may blame you,
only on money. And now on my bubunin.
I'm not saying now.
But then I'm over now.
I say, scan, or be in the new Benyas Kakwa behind. You see, a dime border, then the Unyasica. I can have blah blah Unyas, can have a blend pierce on Albania. Over bless, I know my son.
Assassin mode kiosks nesis mutiasica mobians and mode assassins and mode kiosks nesis one.
Oh, there be in Chiamo.
Okay, Moana mode kiosks in BC home. But some more catch him and say, Baby Boo, and a man country. I answer one tick. And I pay more honey band say.
Your one or mobile. See, as a dump on your peer and say, your peer no more boo as a
Pierre now almost started to put it.
I must start to put it.
I see. And so she's telling me that she lives here with 2 of her brothers who own shacks right here, and where they just woke up to the exercise, moving on in earnest. And just by way of description for you, the entire space over here just littered really with people who are looking on as their belongings are just being torn down. I see mattresses, I see utensils, cooking utensils, I see water, tanks, reservoirs, and so on and so forth, bowls that they use to store water, and on all of them. But all across this end, we see a few of the people, just hanging around there, and they are all attempting really to pick what they can before the exercise just gets to them. And so as we move along, you see right here, over this particular area, I see a woman, quite elderly, looks to me like in her 60s, also right in the thick of the debris, attempting to also pick what she can. I see another set of 2 women who have babies, strapped to their back, also right in the thick of the things, are trying to pick what they can. But as all of this happens and all of this goes on, there are children and kids who are caught up in the entire exercise. Some of them, just sitting and looking on helplessly. Your friend was saying?
From Nanayo.
Nanayo? How many months?
My name is Sister Nebasi.
No sister Netiano. Na mo sorry no anopa no den buy.
My name is Sister Nebasi. My sister no ko adwuma na oba oban no hu se omo sese nyoma wa se na obe friend say embra. Ti
enyumre mo wa be ko dan fa.
Yeah, they ase.
And so that's what we have. Just a few of the kids over here, and he's telling me that they came here to observe.
Mano, if you can hear me, can you let us understand where exactly?
Grandma, good morning. My follow. What's happening here? Okay, then is you one.
So what bubu na me dem no adoko ntimi ndako no nyana ka ho
unu adoko no ever o we chire ho o ton man krofo no mote a to me bubu chaos no so o man kan chere mo ansa na mo ba
da bi o yenti fi
ti haya na o mo be bubu
e a machine na ti se o mu ba yi nyama nya wie no nya bubu e
I catch him say high tension I say no say cable ni be tough man. Ebi ebetumi eja ana bibi mu na we obi be pra na be wumpo. Ana tina muguso wa.
Omo kan kan so yenye baby anko. Entia. Yenye baby anko entia. Yo baby kwa nka nko dalaba.
So just as we're talking, the bulldozer is just approaching, and in my understanding, just to tear down a lot more of the structures that are still standing right here. That's exactly what's happening. The old lady that I just spoke to told me in Tree that she sells kinky, she cooks and sells kinky just around this area, but woke up to the demolition exercise and indeed now has had her entire wares destroyed by the task force. Let's just try and speak to a few more of them this morning. Madam, your friend?
Your friend is Sidonia.
Your friend?
Sidonia.
Sidonia na also onia mawan.
Mbacha I meti ase.
Hey na ote.
Mbacha.
What in how long now what na?
Mbacha me ba 6 months ni.
6 months.
Mbacha.
Okay, who here na bet na hanu?
Mbacha na me your friend say meti UPS. Me rent na so ya na I say abraboni mo aye some way bi na me say sadia. Me be choke here for 1 year bia na 2 years bi na ma move on to my building. Na me buy not 6 months pepe and then me 6 months. I was even sleeping with my 2 kids. They are back there. So they came on, they said we should move our things out. Otherwise they will scatter all things. So I decided to move all things out. But they did not agree with me to even raise my kiosk out. Even my things, all of these are spoiled.
So you wanted to carry your kiosk from here?
Yes, and they did not allow me to carry it. They spoiled all my things, my bowls, everything is scattered. And now I'm stranded with my 2 kids. and I said I have government who can help me. Now that a single mother, even I'm not a single mother, I have a husband, and we came here to struggle. You understand me? We came here to struggle to get. I went out from my hometown to come here to come and sleep inside a kiosk. This is a wood. I know that it's risky for my life, but because of I don't have, and I came here to go and help my people and in my home country. That is why I'm here, and I'll come and say to use my own hand to vote for the government, and you are not helping me. It's not good.
But did you pay any money to put your kiosk here?
Although I did not pay, but those who are here that I came and meet them, they say they are the landlords. They are here before me, so they'll take money from you. So I paid, but it's not for the government that I pay for. But they should know that if you are not paying, we are all helping ourselves. We are all human beings. You are a human being. I'm also a human being. And that doesn't mean that if you have a burden sleeping in, and I don't have a burden, I'm not a human being. I'm part of the humans. If you call a woman, I'm also part of human being. So you can't sack all of here and say that we should go.
Where are your children?
They are at the back there.
Okay, so we'll attempt to, maybe somebody could get them for us to, so we speak to them and find out where they will be sleeping. And so she's just telling us that she lives here with her kids. And so essentially, you live here with them?
Yes, I live here with them.
So where are you going to take them now that the place has
my problem now. Where am I going to carry them go? I have nowhere to go. So it's better for me to sleep here because they want us to sleep outside. That is why they came and destroyed the kiosks. So we will sleep outside. And we are not going anywhere. What we want the government to know that we are not going anywhere. Today or tomorrow, we will be staying here till where we want to go, we will go. We are not going anywhere because we are all voting for you. It's my hand. That make you be there where you are. Without me, you are nobody. Without me, what we want them to understand that without we, they are nobody. And that doesn't mean that, serious brother, don't look at my face, and I'm serious with that. Even without me, the government will not come and to make you to be who you are. It's not that if I'm sleeping inside the wood, I'm not a human being. I'm part of human being. They should have patience with us. They should fear for us. They should have that pity for us. Because say what I say. So I say that's how to kill us more. And don't just say we nyanipa. And don't just say we nyanipa na for Ado. What we want you to know is that we are part of human beings. They should fear for us. They should feel pity for us. We are mobro. Is it my like? I don't like it because I have not a
So that's my colleague Manuel Cranting, who is reporting on that demolition exercise for us there. Moving on to other stories. Food shortage has hit senior high schools across the country, with the Upper West Regional Chapter of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, warning that student and parent may soon be compelled to take up the cost of feeding if government fails to provide supplies. In a letter to the Regional Director of the Ghana Education Service, Charles noted that the food supplies contacted by the buffer stock company as well as local suppliers contacted are all refusing to do so, citing non-payment of outstanding monies owed them by the government. The Ministry of Education has moved in to ensure food is supplied starting Tuesday, July 12th. So what is the update on that plan by the Education Ministry? Kwesi Kwarteng is the Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Education and joins us live on the lines with the latest on this. Mr. Kwarteng, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. Now, where are we with regards to the distribution of food items as promised by your ministry?
Yeah, Kojo, I'm still getting some feedback with the earlier story you carried on. I don't know if you can check for me.
Well, I'm only trying to find out from you where we are with the plan by the Education Ministry to supply food items to these schools who are in need.
You mean you want to get an update on the food supply, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so I indicated earlier, food is ready to be dispatched today. The buffer stock is ready with some stocks of food to be dispatched to the various schools. And if I say the various schools, I'm referring to the affected schools with much reference to the power school, where the leadership of Charles indicated a potential food shortage by the 15th of this month, which happens to be Friday, if nothing is done about the situation. Thankfully, the Minister for Education, Dr. Alserichum, has intervened and arrangements have been made. So hopefully by close of day, we should get some distributions made to schools that are facing similar challenges. So for now, that is the update that we have.
So well, we don't know at what time within the day the distribution will start?
Apparently, it's not an event. Processes are started, arrangements are far advanced. Hopefully, within the day, they should get their supplies. By close of day, they should get all their supplies.
How many schools are we looking at to receive these supplies?
I do not have the full list of it, but I'll get it for you as soon as possible. Hopefully, when I get to the office, I should get it for you and update you accordingly.
So what's the makeup of the supply? What sort of food items are they receiving by end of today?
Yeah, basically, they listed some items in their presser, and I'll create your indulgence to refer to that. I think they were rice, sugar, flour. Those are the items that come in mind. But I think we can just refer to the first. So every item that was listed as required has been supplied and will be delivered accordingly.
All right, interesting. So we'll look forward to the schools receiving these items by close of today.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we'll keep you informed.
Okay, so we expect that by close of today, these schools would have received these food supplies.
Sure. That is the arrangement for now. Yes, I'm saying that is the arrangement for now. That by close of day, the affected schools receive full supply so that they're able to restock to full capacity.
Okay, Mr. Gwate, we are grateful to you. We look forward to receiving the update as of when these schools will be receiving these items because of how critical it is. Grateful that you join us. Let me take you to my colleague Samuel Mbura, who is also visiting some of these schools around the capital for an update on how this is affecting the schools. So, Mbura, what's the latest?
The situation here, we are following it keenly, and any development that comes in the course of this discussion, we'll definitely update our listeners on the current situation.
Sammy, if you're still there, kindly let us have the recap of what's happening at the school you are and what's been coming up. All right. So we'll go back to Samuel Mbura for an update on what is happening there. But to some other stories, the West Africa Civil Society Institute, WACSI, is worried about Africa's high dependency on the West. The institute claims foreign aid comes with unfavorable conditions which do not benefit the receiving countries. Speaking on the sidelines of the Giving for Change workshop, head of knowledge management and communications for WACSI, Jim Chick Fomujong, said it is time for African countries to prioritize internal revenue generation to avoid such conditions.
Emphasizes the need for countries to locally raise funds for development. At its first annual learning and reflection workshop, issues regarding Africa's heavy reliance on foreign aid were crucial. According to stakeholders, the situation is impeding development on the continent. Jim Chick Fomunjon speaks for WACSI.
Aid is tied to certain restrictive measures that may not really favor those of our organizations benefiting from the aid. I want to call it the coins. 1 Ghana cedi, 10 pesos, 50 pesos, and we pool all of that together to complement the technical knowledge, you would see that we will build an industry of local philanthropy that will really help Africa to move faster than we are currently experiencing.
Executive Director of Star Ghana Foundation, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, mentioned that Ghana's philanthropic culture over the years has changed.
People are willing to give, but they must believe in the cause that you are asking them to give for. And interestingly, we found out that a lot of people prefer to give to even the media organizations than the civil society organizations. So if, let's say, Joy or City or any other FM station says there's somebody who is sick at Kolebu, we are mobilizing funding, it usually works better than where an NGO says, we are mobilizing funds. So that's also quite a very interesting finding for us.
Jenny Hodgson, an executive director of the Global Fund for Community Foundations, emphasized the need to capitalize on the philanthropic culture in Africa to advocate for internal revenue generation.
People across Africa and the rest of the world have always given. They've always given for funerals, for burials, for illness, for weddings. So these systems already exist. But so far they have been largely overlooked and ignored by the system of international development, which is premised on money coming from outside the continent. So the program is really trying to look at how can we recognize, acknowledge, and build on existing cultures of giving that exist.
The annual Learning and Reflection Workshop brought together Giving for Change partner representatives from Africa, Asia, and South America to learn and share ideas on the progress of the program implementation over the past 18 months. Ifwa Apekwa Boafo's report, read to you.
Now, we understand that Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools are holding a crucial crunch meeting, and my colleague Samuel Mbura is at the St. Thomas Aquinas School to understand what's happening there. So, I mean, what's been happening at where you are?
So Brace, if you could hear me, I'm live from the St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School in Accra, where we've been monitoring the activities in the various senior high schools having to do with the impact of the strike by the teachers' union, who are demanding COLA from government. Per around so far, activities have been down in most of the secondary schools. You can talk about Accra Academy, Labone, Accra Girls, Achimota as well. And right now, there is a crunch meeting between all the 46 heads of the various senior high schools in the Greater Accra region. That's Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools. And what they are looking at has to do with the current challenge that they have at hand. One has to do with the shortage of food in some of the secondary schools or senior high schools. What they are saying is that their buffer is depleted, and they expect that the Ministry of Education should act quickly. We know that government has assured through the Ministry of Education that today they will have made supplies to the affected schools. So they are expecting that the supplies will come in and they'll be able to solve their challenge as it takes now. Right now, just look right behind me, you see the classrooms actually without teachers. We are not granted permission to talk to the teachers. They are not also willing to talk to us on record. But what we can see from where we are shooting this live feed from is that the students having their private classes. Some are also chit-chatting among themselves. And there is no teacher to actually lead them through their studies. So what they are saying is that they expect that government pays their COLA. If not, they will not go back to the classroom. So that is the impact so far. Students will have to learn by themselves without any guidance from the teachers. And the head teachers are also meeting here to ensure that all these concerns that they are being confronted with, the Education Ministry is able to deal with them. So after this particular crunch meeting, they are expected to report back to the Ghana Education Service what the teachers or the heads of the assisted secondary schools have resolved, and then it will take it from there. But they are expecting that by today, as promised by the Ministry of Education, they will have the supplies made to the school. So the activities have halted here at St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School in Accra. No teaching, but learning is ongoing. The students are doing that by themselves. You can see some of them even in short standing out there. Just briefly, they were out for a break and they are back to class. So, Brace, that is a current situation that is in the St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School in the Greater Accra region. So we are still monitoring the proceedings of the meetings of these heads of the senior high schools, and then we'll definitely give you updates as to what they finally decide on. But their major concern is that they expect that the food supplies will be made on time.
So that's my colleague Samuel Mbura, who has been at the St. Thomas Aquinas School to monitor how the strike situation is affecting them. And also, we've been bringing you stories on how the Conference of Heads of Assisted Schools are asking government to support them, and the ministry also moving in to support. We understand that all heads of senior high schools in the Greater Accra region are meeting to find out how to, ensure the smooth running of these schools. Our eyes and ears are on the ground, and we'll be giving you an update on whatever happens in our bulletins. Now to some other stories. The Ghana Integrity Initiative says there were several infractions with the management of the COVID-19 funds during the height of the pandemic. Now, according to them, whilst the Minister of Finance presented to Parliament a statement of account on the resources for COVID-19 intervention, the Minister's presentation cannot be construed to constitute an audit or accountability, as it focused on the headline items rather than the detailed expenditure and compliance issues regarding the use of public funds. The Ghana Integrity Initiative says there are issues which have been specifically stated as worrying and have a potential to exacerbate the high perception of corruption by citizens. Now, these include some three statements that they've pointed out, which, of course, a $10 million loan to produce emergency PPE kit and gear. There is an evidence to suggest that there was no tendering notice given for the procurement, contrary to the Public Procurement Amendment Act 2016, that's Act 914. Now, also, the 4 selected companies by the Ministry of Trade to produce PPEs were not registered with the PPA, offending sections 43 and 44 of Act 914. $7.4 million for community engagement and risk communication. The government established a National Information Contact Center at the Accra Digital Center to provide information on COVID-19 and related matters. However, there has not been any information about how much government spent on that setup, as no figures have been released publicly. And 3, with regards to a $3.6 million for health system strengthening, it is unclear how government spent funds earmarked under this allocation from the World Bank funding. And in the case of government support to schools with Veronica bucket, sanitizers, rolls of tissue paper, gallons of liquid soap and thermometer guns, as well as hot meals for final year students, there has been no full disclosure of who won these contracts, from which funds the contract were awarded, and whether the contract went through the proper procurement processes. Now, joining us for more on this is the Programs Manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Mary Ada. Thank you so much, Madam Ada, for joining us. Now, what are some of the major infractions that have been identified with regards to the management of COVID-19 funds?
Thank you very much. And let me say good morning to your viewers this morning. One of the things we did as part of the African Union Convention Day Against Corruption was to look back at some of the surveys we have been involved with in the past year. And one that quickly comes to mind is one we did on the various COVID-19 interventions that were rolled out by government during the peak of the pandemic. So the findings thereof showed that we had a lot of issues around procurement, because most of the contracts were single source, admittedly so because of the exigencies of the time with the procurement law permits. But then what was critical was the fact that in some of the instances, the agencies responsible did not even take the issues to the Public Procurement Board to ensure that they have rectified or approved such procurements before they were undertaken. And that is a serious breach in the law. Because if you are single sourcing, you need approval of the entity to do so. Again, after these procurements are done, we know for a fact that after a year, there must be some audits happening to ensure that funds that have been disbursed, funds that have been expended, contracts awarded and executed have been done according to the law. Unfortunately, as at the time of our survey, we realized that in most of the instances, audits had not been carried out. And so you realize that the various calls from civil society and also calls from the opposition in parliament currently for a forensic audit of sorts, it's appropriate. Again, to say that in the celebration of the African Union Day Against Corruption, you realize that it is remarkable that the African Union itself has cited that in most of its member states or the state parties thereof, there were issues around transparency and accountability when it comes to the execution of most of the issues around COVID. So it means it goes to confirm and validate some of the worries we have had around this. Let me put this a caveat on this and say that for us in our work, we realize that in the issues around the private sector funds, and also when it comes to the COVID-19 trust fund, you realize that issues around transparency were adequately catered for. You go on their website and whatever information you wanted on contributions made is available, on disbursement made as well, that was available. So we didn't have any red marks to that. But the key challenges have had to do with issues around procurement and contracting, and the major of them have related to the single sourcing of the procurement of the various interventions, including those that happened at the airport, the Sputnik V issues, and also most of the PPE contracts that were single sourced. And you begin to wonder
why do
what
these
qualifications merited those.
Well, why do these infractions occur, even as we as a country have signed on to charters to be transparent with things such as these?
Unfortunately, it is state parties, as we say, as state parties, they are independent. What they are supposed to do is to ensure that they make laws or legislations that are in tandem with the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. We say AUCPCC. Unfortunately, the African Union cannot come into the country to say do this or do that. It wants to see you make laws to activate the various articles that it has spelled out. So it is for our public service, our bureaucracy to flow smoothly. And it is as well for us to then activate the various sanctions that are embedded in these beautiful laws we have promulgated. Unfortunately, leadership continues to be our bane because we realize that when it came to the Sputnik V advocacy that we embarked on, every opportunity was used to bring to the attention of the executive, and in this case, the president, that things did not go well. And for that matter, people who are supposed to be in the helm of affairs must be held accountable. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Our president, so leadership commitment to ensuring the execution of our laws and also sanctions when it comes time to ensure deterrence is what we do not see very much of as a people, unfortunately.
Thank you so much, Madam Mariada, for joining us. She is the Programs Manager for the Ghana Integrity Initiative. This is your election headquarters, and we have some political stories coming up. Now, MPP General Secretary John Boadu will this weekend be seeking to retain his position when he comes up against 5 others. He believes his experience can come in handy in the party's quest to retain power. Joseph Akaple has today's edition of our special build-up to the MPP's national officers' elections.
The committee decided by unanimous decision of all members present to suspend Mr. Kwabena Japon indefinitely.
John Boadu became acting NPP General Secretary at a time the party was in turmoil. Its national officers, including Chairman Paul Afoko and General Secretary Kwabena Japon, had been suspended. He went on to hold the position substantively as he led the party into victory in the 2016 and 2020 polls.
It's simple. My campaign is premised on the fact that the new patriotic party is at a critical moment, a moment that calls for experienced people, a moment that calls for combination of the youth, women, and the strength of the party in order to liberate the energies of our party people towards victory in 2024. We will keep our campaign clean. We know that this baby is our baby. We are like the woman who Solomon decided that they should kill the live one. The one that the baby doesn't belong to said that they should divide it into 2. The woman that the baby belongs to said they should give it to the woman. I, John Boadu, with these executives, we have toiled to bring this party to this far. It will be difficult for us to be part of any agenda to bring disunity. We believe that we are winning and winning hands down. That one, there's no 2 ways about it.
His critics, however, say he was part of a team of executives that saw arguably the party's most abysmal parliamentary performance in the 2020 polls when it recorded a net loss of 32 seats. He, however, believes he's the most experienced hands the MPP can rely on.
Check in the year 2020, in the midst of COVID, how many political parties in government won elections when they contested elections in the year 2020? The almighty Trump lost. Angela Merkel lost the election. The party lost. And a lot of political parties, if you go to India, they lost the election in 2020. We were almost the only political party that won under COVID in 2020. It should tell you that because of the challenges of COVID, for instance, a lot of the things that we expected to deliver, for instance, we only grew by 0.4%, which is never happened in this country. Throughout the world, only about 30 countries had a positive growth, and Ghana was one of them. Our management of COVID was par excellence in terms of annals and history of how COVID is managed. That is the only reason why we managed to win.
Mr. Boadu's political career has been one of service to the party, holding many positions including National Finance Officer, National Youth Organizer, National Deputy Communications Director, and now General Secretary. Prior to his rise at the national level, he also served the party as well at the grassroots from polling station chairman to constituency secretary to regional research and elections officer. He believes the support of key party officials comes in handy in his quest to break the 8.
The party is not run by one person. The party is run by numerous unidentified people who offer their services at no cost to the party. So sometimes people are talking, you ask them, what are they talking about? This is a party that owes our successes to the full soldiers of our party. And I can say with authority that the people you see here are people coming from all sectors of our party.
Number 1 on the ballot, incumbency advantage, strong access to party structures leaves analysts little choice but to tip Mr. Boadu as the clear favourites to win over the weekend. Stay with your election headquarters for the very latest.
You'd have to stay with us this Saturday for a comprehensive coverage of that particular event here in Accra. But we'll start with a build-up on Friday evening. There's still the news desk. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you the latest from the world of business. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is now expected to present the mid-year budget review of estimates next week, Wednesday, July 20. The presentation was originally scheduled for tomorrow, July 13. But why the change in date and what are the expectations? Here's George Afe.
Joy Business is learning that the change in date has been influenced by some extra work that needs to be done before the presentation. Sources say ongoing engagement with the IMF may force the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to make some drastic changes to the estimates. Therefore, he will be in a better position to do this after government concludes engagement with the visiting IMF team that is tomorrow. Well, what we are picking up for now indicates that there will be some drastic changes to the macroeconomic targets set out in the 2022 budget. The document outlining Parliament business for this week had earlier announced that the presentation will be made tomorrow. But looking at the fact that the decision to change the date was taken over the weekend by the ministry, maybe Parliament will be officially notified about it today. The document released by Parliament also mentioned a supplementary budget in addition to the mid-year review of estimates. But officials of the Finance Ministry insist the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, would not be presenting a supplementary budget next Wednesday. The country's Financial Management Act requires the Finance Minister to present a mid-year review not later than July 31 for each financial year.
The visiting team from the International Monetary Fund is today expected to engage Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as part of his data gathering and engagement with government. This is one of the high-level meetings that the team will be holding together with government's policy and technical team. Joy Business is learning that there have been some discussions centered on possible program design for Ghana. The team will later in the day hold some meetings with the Finance Committee of Parliament. These meetings are expected to ensure that any program for Ghana has the support of all stakeholders in the country. And in other news, Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosi Yankee Aye, has reiterated that the agency will be reaching out to relevant international organizations to mobilize resources in order to meet the requests of micro businesses across the country. According to her, the Youth Start initiative and other government interventions will be used in building small businesses. Mrs. Yankee Aye was speaking after a graduation ceremony for some beneficiaries of the Apprenticeship to Entrepreneurship Training Program in the Eastern region.
I think it's very important to know that for what we are doing, it's really under the vision of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in trying to get the youth to build the entrepreneurial skills and a culture to be able to grow and start their own businesses. So what it allows us to do is to also be able to monitor that, because we need to ensure that these businesses are sustainable. And so we're going out of our way to do that and monitor and evaluate across the entire nation. So if you pay attention to the work we are doing, across the nation we have regional offices, we have business advisory centers and business resource centers, and through these resource centers and advisory centers we're able to actually get the youth, the women, men and women in those communities to actually start the businesses. And if there are any challenges, we go in and provide the needed supports that they will. And that's why it's through interventions like this that government is really looking to expand and grow through the Youth Start programs, through the Ghana Jobs and Skills Project, which we'll also be implementing very soon across the nation. As much as possible, if you pay attention, once again, the budget really talks about an entrepreneurial nation and a culture, and it's very important because across the world, what we knew as work has changed.
the business of work is different. And so this Youth Start and other interventions is to ensure that we are building the youth, we are leveraging the youth to create employment so that other people are employed to also be sustained.
DBG has been launched and SME is their focus. They have made their intentions clear of collaborating with the GEA especially. What is the way forward looking at this collaboration and how is it going to enhance the work that you're already doing?
I think that the Development Bank Ghana is an amazing concept. And why do I say that? Because across the world, in successful countries, they do have development banks. And once you have a development bank, it creates an agenda to actually transform and accelerate the growth of businesses. So in our case, as the agency mandated to support and strengthen micro, small and medium enterprises, our goal as much as possible is to ensure that we support the DBG by being able to have access to these SMEs, to be able to provide the right type of technical assistance so they can grow. The challenge is finding where these SMEs are. You know, it's so easy to sit back and assume that people know where these SMEs are, but it's through interventions and partnerships like this that we find this to move forward.
And that's business. My name is Darryl Kwa. Up next, sports, to stay tuned.
All right, welcome back from the break. It's now time for us to bring you sports, and the man Lawrence is already in the house. Hi, Lawrence. Good morning.
Hi, Grace. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm good as well. What's on the table today?
You remember since the announcement of the 6 new additions to the Black Stars team, Ghanaians have been having quite a lot of discussions about these players. Some are saying they are here for the World Cup. They are here because we've qualified for the World Cup.
Exactly.
Had we failed to qualify for the World Cup, you will hear things of such.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a bit of clarification from head coach of the side who actually wanted some of these players, or should I say wanted all of these players, Boadu. He says these players are coming and then will play for the Black Stars beyond the World Cup. They are not coming for the fact that they are going to the World Cup, so they stand a chance to play for Ghana at the World Cup. And then, should I say, which will boost their value in terms of the European market. What happens is that in past cases, we've seen players come to the national team from foreign-based lands, come to the national team, don the jersey, and then after the World Cup, they're a bit skeptical about the decision to rejoin the Black Stars for the AFCON qualifiers. Yeah. So Ghanaians are quite afraid that it could be the same case this time around. If you look at someone like Inaki Williams, he's always the point of reference because he's the one who said he didn't feel Ghanaian some 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden he's willing to play for the Black Stars. So if you look at him and then the comments he's made, and then now the fact that he's availed himself for the Black Stars, Ghanaians actually are right to think that they are coming because we are going to the World Cup. It's a global stage. Every player would want to be there. Even as a journalist, you dream of covering the World Cup. Exactly. So for players, I feel sometimes it's just this feel for them, and then Ghanaians are so
players, afraid. If they shine, it enhances their market value. Exactly. And so every player would want to be there. But the head coach is saying that. Have we heard from the players? What have they been telling us?
Inaki, we already know, has been speaking quite, because he's the one who made himself available. Yeah. In fact, he's the only player among the 6 to have made a video about it, being ready for the Black Stars. He says he's ready for the pressure. I tell you what, everyone is ready for the pressure until it starts coming. We all knew Asamoah what he did for the junior side, what he did in the national team. No one thought at some point Asamoah will say, okay, I'm not playing for the Black Stars again because of abuse. The Ayew brothers were at some point, and then they even had to take time off the national team, had to miss the 2030 AFCON. So, you know, this feel of I'm ready for everything comes with a whole lot of different pressure. Unless the moment you get to miss a chance, that's where you feel the real treat from Ghanaians.
And for his case, if he does miss some very crucial decision-making point for us as a country, that's when people refer to what he said earlier, you know, and that's where you would measure whether or not, in fact, he is committed to the colors or to the country. To say whatever it is, I'll still be here and take all that discussion.
Let's take this factor into consideration. You know, Boadu was born in Germany, and then he had the chance to play for Germany, but then he chose Ghana. So he cited himself as an example. He says some of these things they are not as easy as we think okay, I'm deciding to play for the Black Stars. Okay. It has to go through a whole lot of process thinking, because you are not only committing for just a short period. It's not like a club side where you can move. It's an entire life decision. All right, and that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Headline News, News Desk. But you can go on to myjoyonline.com for more information and news. Especially check out the sports session and see what's up there with regards to the Black Stars. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. We'll end here. We'll come your way with at 12 with Joy News Today. Good morning.